Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring SONJA Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
National Streaming Sports is brought to you in part by BetUs.com, designed for true fans. NFL odds, Week 1 and futures. College football odds, including Heisman Trophy favorites and playoff odds. NBA odds of division winners and playoffs. Major League Baseball playoff and World Series odds. The National Hockey League Conference playoffs and Stanley Cup odds. And boxing wagers. Betting opportunities include versus the spreads and outright winners. Also, during the game. Use our link on our website, nessp.info, the Bet Us Opportunities webpage, for a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Must be 21 years old, and remember, bet responsibly.
Football season is here, and SeatGeek is my go-to for buying tickets. Now, with SeatGeek, every single ticket is backed with their buyer guarantee. We've all had plans change, and when you can't make it to the big game, SeatGeek has you covered. They're the only ticketer that allows you to return your tickets ahead of the event for credit with SeatGeek swaps. So when things come up, I know that my tickets won't go to waste. So what are you waiting for? Download the SeatGeek app to maximize your possibilities and shop live events with confidence.
Good morning and welcome to the debate show. I am Sonya and I'm joined with Jack and JTRAIN. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I hope you all are both doing well. All right, you guys, make sure you download the Roku app so you two can be in the know when we are live, 24/7 sports. Of course, shout out to Mac and Linda, the great production team over there at the network, National Professional Sports, and all these good shows we have going on. Mac, we miss you. Thank you so much for over 12,000 of you who have already rated and liked us on National Streaming Sports. Of course, today is the debate show. And so with that being said, we're going to start out with the topic of the day, which is basically SHADEUR Sanders, guys. I mean, another round has gone. This is now the 3rd round. And the 2nd day, and now we're approaching the 3rd day, and SHADEUR Sanders has not gone. My question is, we clearly know it's not a lack of skills at this point because we've seen quarterbacks that were less than ranked with him go in the 2nd day at least. I'll start with you, JTRAIN, because I know that you have been a pro for SHADEUR this entire time, and even when others have, kind of ridden him for his style of character when he's had interviews, etc. And so let's start with you and just kind of pivot to you, Jack, as well.
Hey, so good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
Yeah, look, it's not like you said. I'll allude to what you just said of the lack of talent. I mean, we can go through history and look at some of the great players that have had sons that tried to come in and play. We're talking about Jerry Rice. His son didn't do well. We're talking about Walter Payton's son played for Miami, running back, and coming to the league didn't do well. We're looking at Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is a player that's sort of mercurial, controversial, but a great player. I mean, maybe he rubs some people the wrong way, and his personality and what he thinks he said. I don't know for sure, but we look at his kid, SHADEUR Sanders. Sanders comes into the league, comes into football. He coached his son the whole time. He coached him through high school. He coached him in both times at Jackson State and college, and as well as Colorado. And you can see the success. Good morning, Richard. You can see the success, not just from the level of coaching, but you see the success from the level of the quarterback. At first, I'll be honest with you, I was skeptical when I first watched him at Jackson State because I wasn't sure. I'm thinking, looking through all the history, there's really not many besides Peyton Manning and Eli Manning that have really had truly success, that have been successors at the quarterback position that are someone's sons, or just athletically, period. There are some, yes, but for the most part, no. But when I began to watch them play at Jackson State and seeing what they've done for that school, particularly SHADEUR Sanders, along with Hunter as well, but you see the greatness in this kid. And it's not just his skills with the ball. He obviously doesn't have a strong arm. He has a good arm. He has a very good arm. It's not weak. It's just not as strong as something like a Cam Ward would be. But he's an excellent processor. I think he was probably the smartest processor in this game out of all the quarterbacks in this year's draft. And also, he's proven, like he said, he's very confident. He's proven that he's worthy of being turning a franchise around. And I think he will get the opportunity, but it's going to be obviously late now. But to not get picked in the first 3 rounds, look, I can see falling to the second. Drew Brees was taken in the second round. And so and he wasn't great in the beginning when he was at San Diego, but when he got with a Sean Payton, you saw what they were able to unlock and allow, greatness to come out of this guy. I think the same is going to happen with SHADEUR. I think there's obviously a huge level of humility, but what I think he has as well is drive, determination, obviously humility now, and a will to succeed. And I think it's going to happen. It's just going to have to be the right team, the right coach to give him an opportunity. And shame on these other teams for not taking him when they should. Even the Saints, my Saints chose Shock, this kid out of the Cardinals,
Louisville.
Yeah, Louisville Cardinals. And this kid's been playing for 6 years, and he's had like a mediocre. He just finally had a good season this last season, 3,000 plus yards, 23 TDs, and however many interceptions. He can throw the ball when he's on, but when he's off too as well. And he's injury prone. That's another thing. So I was really shocked. I think Kellen Moore probably elected to get this guy because they need a quarterback. 2, they need depth in the quarterback room. 2, we don't know if this might be Kellen Moore's guy, his prototype of what he wants as a quarterback. But shout out to SHADEUR Sanders for just being obviously humble now. Just some of the things you can see what he tweets. But I just think that many teams missed out at this point.
Yeah, and I definitely. Yes, and good morning, Richard. Good morning to B Strilla over to 1A Cheek 3 Toes Monkey. All of us were on last night. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us so early this morning. Jack, I'm so
I thought of both of you last night. I thought of
course, JTRAIN.
Right before the Saints were going with the 40th pick. And I said, darn it. I said all along they're going to draft SHADEUR Sanders. But I had it in my head with the 9th overall pick, not the 40th, and they take Tyler Show. That's why the Saints are a losing organization. They're going to continue to be a losing organization. They're only going down, the Saints, only going down. And if they left this decision to Kellen Moore, novice coach, if his input was the main thing in making this selection, that's pretty pathetic. Get a really top scouting department in place. It just makes no sense at all. I thought of you, Sonja, in a less harmful way when Dallas made their pick, when Jerry Jones was doing that little dance. He talked week ago whether he still has anything on his fastball, whether he's still enthusiastic. Jerry's still with it, it seems. You know, you saw him dancing. He was obviously happy with his pick. I don't know what Shador Sanders, what's even going to be today. You know, whether he's even going to be drafted today altogether. There's a possibility he might slide altogether. And it would make no sense that a team wouldn't take a flyer on him in the 5th or 6th round. There's another story going on. We could talk about that maybe a little bit later if we want, or maybe not at all. But Quinn Ewers is a forgotten man here. To me, you draft them both if they're available in the 4th and 5th round, Shador Sanders and Quinn Ewers, invite them to camp, and you're going to have your quarterback of the future. One of them's going to emerge, okay? But these teams, they have no imagination. But with that said, I think there's more to Shador Sanders' ability. I don't want to hear he doesn't have the arm strength. I mean, Peyton Manning, they said, didn't have the arm strength. A number of other quarterbacks. And think of all these quarterbacks with this, you know, rifle arm who don't amount to anything at all. I mean, we hear what a great arm, you know, Ryan Leaf had back in the day. That's why it was taken. But come on, but Shador Sanders, before the draft, Dion was talking boldly. He says, I'm going to pull an Archie Manning. I'm going to decide where my son goes. He's not going to every team. He's only going to certain teams. Right there, you eliminate certain teams. Like the Cleveland Browns are one of the teams eliminated in the beginning, okay, supposedly by Dion. He wanted his son to go to the Giants, supposedly, in the beginning. He was basically letting Cleveland know, don't get too enthusiastic about taking him. And Cleveland got turned off. And when they met with Shador, you could pick up vibes from a player, how enthusiastic he is. And maybe Shador was told, don't act like you want to play here bad enough. Be polite, be nice, but hold back. Okay? And maybe he did it. And Cleveland, look, they finally got around to taking a quarterback yesterday. What, Dylan Gabriel? I mean, and they passed on Shador as well. Seattle to take Milroe? Come on. You know, ahead of Shador. You know, none of it makes sense, but there has to be more to it. And also, it's gotten beyond Deion Sanders. This is a Tim Tebow effect. You don't want to deal with your fan base. You don't want to deal with distractions. That's why Colin Kaepernick never found his way back into the NFL. It's not because owners called one another up and said, oh, don't take this guy. Of course, that didn't happen. You don't want the baggage of a Colin Kaepernick or Tim Tebow because your fan base is going to keep calling for them to play. It's going to be a distraction. The reporters are going to keep talking to the other players. And that's what Shador Sanders now brings to the room. Any team that drafts him, as soon as your starter, especially a young quarterback, runs into a little bit of a problem, you're going to hear them calling for Shador. Now, Sean Payton came out and he praised Shador. He's known him since junior high school. He says teams are going to pay for not taking him. And maybe he means it. Maybe he means it, Sean Payton. And maybe he thinks Shador really is going to be a top quarterback, but he's got Bo Nix. If Bo Nix is struggling just a little bit, he doesn't need the distraction of Shador, you know, there for the fans calling, we want Shador. You know, there's a bigger element that goes on the field.
Jack, I got to push back a little bit on that. You mentioned Colin Kaepernick, Tim Tebow. Those two players are not as talented as this player. I don't think. I mean, when you look at them as college players, yeah, they were good. When you look at Colin Kaepernick, fine. He played in a system under Jim Harbaugh that allowed him to succeed. I mean, obviously systems work for everybody, but specifically as a talented player and someone who processes the game a lot quicker, I just don't see those players on the level of Shador Sanders. So to say that, and then also to say what Sean Payton saying he's going to, teams are going to pay. I agree. I totally agree. And there are too many teams to say that you can't. I mean, if somebody didn't interview well, it's probably. I mean, the first thing they brought out was attitude. and they brought out Brash, that sort of thing. I'm sorry. Talent will always trump everything. And I heard Joel Klatt on TV last night stating that the quarterback position is different. It'd be different if he was a wide receiver or a skill player, but the quarterback position is different. I still push back to that as well. I'm sorry. I mean, none of his counterparts, none of his his teammates have bashed him ever. You know, nothing has come out from other players, anonymous players, to say, "Oh, this guy was terrible."
They're not going to bash him as
they're not going to bash him.
Yes, they will. Anonymously, people do. Yes, they will do that. If I can say anonymous, if people can stay anonymous, they do it online. That's the young people's motto. They hide behind the internet and will bash you. I'm telling you, this they will.
There was a player that came out. There was a player that came out a while back. I can't remember exactly when or who it was that left Colorado, and they did say that they didn't care for Dion or SHADEUR. They felt like Dion had favoritism. I don't remember who it was, but it was some guy season before last that basically did come out and say that. And that's kind of when the dust kind of started kicking up. And yes, Brent, we did get Nick. We're super happy about that. Thank you. Monkey says it like nobody saw round 4. Like maybe the end of round 1. Okay, then the point is made because he didn't go in the top 10. But round 2, okay, even round 2, when it started getting 3, you're like, wait a minute. And when Gordon was taken, a 5'11" quarterback that people have, they complain when we took as the Panthers Bryce Young at 5'11". So now you see another 5'11" quarterback that nobody has really had on their radar that got taken ahead of him was crazy. And I will say this though, this is because I'm kind of on the fence. You guys know I have kind of been on that same standard the whole draft about it's too showy, he's not grateful, he's not humble. And I feel like by the time they tried to retract it, it was too late. You had somebody that came out the day before the draft and talked about how he looked entitled, he looked disinterested. And another analyst came out last night and said another team said that when he got there and they asked him about mistakes and the fact that Colorado didn't have a better record, he didn't take the blame for it. He didn't take responsibility. He blamed other players on the team, talked about other players who couldn't catch, things like that. He did not take accountability. So when you have professional owners and coaches coming out saying this, you can't say they're lying. You can't say it's collusion.
That's not true. I disagree with that.
If they're stating facts and they're saying this dude is saying that this person doesn't take responsibility, you can disagree or agree. If it's a fact, it's
absolutely.
A fact. And so the point is, if he's not taking responsibility, that's a bad leader. The quarterback position is different.
I got to push back on that. Has he said that publicly against his team? Has he ever said? Have you ever heard anything public?
No interview.
No, he's never said that publicly out loud.
You know that.
James, they pick up every little thing.
The dude has a bad attitude and he's paying for it. That's the end of the story on that one.
I disagree with that. Totally disagree with that.
It's caught up with him, and everybody wants to go out here and rah-rah. He's a black quarterback. He's this, he's that. See past the race and see that he's been a you-know-what the whole time. And now
totally
that he's
disagree
not
with
going
that.
his way, now everybody
you got to have evidence of that. There's no evidence of that.
Because he's not drafted. Okay, nobody wanted him to go to 4th. I'm not saying that, but he did need a lesson in how to be grateful.
No, I don't think he's been drafted in the 4th round, Sonia.
Absolutely.
No, I disagree with. Hold on, I disagree with that. First of all, if that was the case, evidence would show itself outwardly.
I'm gonna pull it up.
Hold on. I'm saying. No. Let me finish. Let me finish. I'm saying he has to say. You would see that him saying that against his team in interviews out loud. And there's no evidence of him bashing his team ever.
No one has had a public interview with a team. He's been interviewing with these teams.
No, I'm not saying teams. I'm saying at the end of games, most times if someone blames their teammates, they usually do it there. He's never done that. Never.
They asked him about mistakes, the fact that Colorado did not have a better. So you're saying these coaches are lying? They're lying on him. They're clearly lying.
People do not lie. You saying people do not lie? Never. People don't lie. Is that what you're saying?
These men are building up.
I'm just telling you.
More stuff to do than to tell a lie on a recruit. They're gonna say this man said something he didn't say. They're gonna blatantly lie against Shadeur Sanders, Deion's son. Come on, man. That's defamation all day. They're not doing that. They're not doing that. They're not gonna lie on him. That's the owner. That's not like me and you saying something and you're like, yes,
I've heard him
a
interview.
professional.
I've heard him interviewed and say, this is what, okay, he said those things that have been said about him. These are the things that I'm saying and telling you. And you can hear a contrite and confident person when he interviews, sitting in front of people post-season, prior to draft, letting you know this is what I want to do. And I have no problem with nothing he said. Nothing. I could see if he said some of those things there, I would pull back and be like taken aback as well. Nothing he said that made me think that this person should be pushed down past the 4th round. He said nothing.
I didn't say he should be past the 4th round. I just said,
no, I'm just saying, have you listened to his interviews? Have you listened to him talk to?
I have, and I don't.
Has he given anything? Has he given you anything that would suggest that he would say?
He gives me that he comes off as an a-hole. Yes, he does.
Oh,
Deion is his mouthpiece.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. And I said that. I said that before the draft. I've been saying
we could agree to disagree on that. You have your right to believe that. I disagree with that.
You can disagree, but what I'm saying is I haven't changed my stance.
Sure.
Right. I've been saying this the whole time, JTRAIN. You know that. I've been saying I don't think he's ungrateful. All this other stuff that's coming out has been since the draft started. I didn't know that he's blaming teammates. I'm reading stuff on NFL, ESPN, and all that, just like everybody else is. We're not there in the interviews. I'm saying going through this entire draft, I have said he has not shown an ounce of gratefulness. That's what I said. I said that 2 weeks ago. So, no, I didn't say he should go to the 4th round. Like I just said, the end of the 1st round, yes. Past the top 10, yes. That's enough discipline to me. But to go past the 2nd round is insane. I do agree with that. I think it's ridiculous. I think that is beyond just, I'm sickened about that. But I still stand on what I said. They were waiting for a reason. Let's agree on that. They were waiting for a reason because they know the name. They were waiting for a reason to try to basically, in other words, blackball him. They were
no one's blackballing him. Well, get out of here. No, it's no collusion. No one is blackballing him. But first off, most teams have their starting quarterback anyway before this draft. And if you've got a new quarterback like a Sam Darnold at Seattle or Justin Fields with the Jets, you don't want to draft a Shadeur Sanders who's looking right over their shoulder because you want to find out whether the new guys you got, and I'm just giving the example of 2 teams, Darnold and Fields, whether those guys are going to be a quarterback of the future. The jury's still out on those guys, whether they're going to be a quarterback in the future. If you're the Vikings, you're Kevin O'Connell, you don't draft the Shadeur Sanders because you want to find out about J.J. McCarthy. It's a bad thing you draft a guy who's looking right over young quarterback's shoulders. And even like I said about Sean Payton, you got Bo Nix. What are you going to do with Shadeur Sanders? Make him a career backup? You don't want him looking over Bo Nix's shoulder. You know, the LA Rams would be a great fit because Matthew Stafford has, we don't know, he might only have 1 year left, maybe has a few years left. But we can agree that Matthew Stafford is most likely closer to the end of the line than anything else. Shadeur Sanders would be perfect for the Rams. I mean, the Saints, why didn't they take him? Did they feel, Tyler Shower's better than Shadeur Sanders? Maybe they made a judgment call,
I mean, there. The kid has the prototypical size of a pocket passer. He's 6'5", 225, and plus he can run like a 4.6. Shadeur doesn't have that. So I could see why they're looking for someone specific, to run the offense, but talent-wise, no, I'm not gonna.
Good morning, Richard. Richard objects to me.
Cleveland finally took a quarterback. It's as if they were hoping someone would take Shadeur Sanders. They were getting tortured. It's as if they wanted him off the board so they wouldn't have to bypass him.
Yeah, that's what Monkey said.
Even Jalen Milroe with Seattle, they're going to run him in these packages 10% of the time. I mean, come on.
It makes sense. I mean, I get what the Jalen Milroe pick was. That's just Whatever,
He's not a
whoever picks,
quarterback. He's not going to be a
I'm
high
just telling you,
caliber
whoever
NFL
picks
quarterback.
Whoever picks Jalen Milroe is going to be, like you said, a package guy. He kind of went in the right position. I figured he'd probably go in the third round.
But the question is this, you know, SHADEUR, I think, is going to be there come 5th, 6th round. I think he's going to be there. I don't think he's going to be taken in the 4th round.
Sad.
And once you get to the 6th round,
That's sad.
you can afford to take a flyer on a guy because 6th round picks, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but they're just 50-50 whether they're going to make the team.
Well, I
So
mean,
at this juncture, it's just whether or not he gets in or not.
yeah.
He gets in, he's going to get his opportunity, and he gets in. Then the door, you get your foot in the door. It's up to you.
But even 2 days
No,
ago, he put out after the first round. This is what got me. If you are in a presence where you see that you're slipping in a draft, just stay positive. Don't put anything on the internet that's negative. He put a clip out there at some point after the first round, maybe between the second round and the third round, that basically said, if you don't draft me, I'm not playing for your team. Dude, please leave it alone at this point. Don't say nothing like that. Now you want to try to, like, it's a back and forth, and that's my point. No, he don't deserve to be in no 4th round. That is crazy. He didn't deserve, in my opinion, to be in the 2nd round. Maybe past 5. But everybody got the point once he slipped past 10. But this 4th round, and if he doesn't get drafted, and people want to, you know, link him to Tom Brady, Tom went in the 6th round or something like that, it's different. But Brian put the quote up that I was talking about earlier, where they said he blamed teammates. That was out there. And the thing is, nobody at this point, it's literally like just a barrage of negativity. You can't even look up his name anymore right now. I was just looking without all this negative stuff that's gone on with his draft.
Well, he said something nice.
It's just so funny. It's so funny that a lot of the negative things that come out always has an anonymous scout or anonymous executive. That's just funny how that happens like that.
Unnamed, yeah.
But he did say something nice before the draft. He said, whoever drafts me, I hope we have a really close quarterback room, that all of us are really close and that we get along great. And we just compete and we all be good friends. So that was like a positive thing. But I think you get these sons of certain athletes, they're a takeoff of their dad. I mean, Rex Ryan was a little bit of a takeoff of Buddy Ryan, not quite as mean-spirited, but there was a certain arrogance. Oh, we're the best. We can beat anyone, you know? And I think SHADEUR, you know, he's the son of his father. There's a certain boldness, there's a certain arrogance, which can help you as a football player as well.
But Monkey says it's a thin line.
You have evidence of players
and cockiness. That's what Monkey.
You have evidence of players that have gone 1 overall. Baker Mayfield. This is a guy grabbed his crotch when he was on the sideline in Oklahoma and planting a flag. Very arrogant player. Taken number 1 overall by Cleveland. The same team that won't take
Listen, guys, look at Johnny Manziel. He didn't fall as bad, but he fell back.
Johnny is not the same caliber player. He's Johnny Money. Yes, same guy. I don't think they like that putting your money signs and stuff like that. But again,
but
Ryan
this fall
Lee,
is bad.
We talk about interviews. I'm pretty sure somebody like Ryan Lee did not have good interviews. You could see the issues that were there as well once he got into the league.
But this is historic how far back SHADEUR has fallen as far as, I mean, no one expected him not to be picked in the first 3 rounds. There was talk he might go in the 2nd round, okay? But especially at this point, I can't believe a team wouldn't take a chance on him, you know, 4th round already at this point. Look, the Cowboys gave a 4th round draft choice to the 49ers to get Trey Lance in season.
Yeah.
And now, you know, teams with a 4th round choice. Where do you think SHADEUR is going to go? Is he going to be drafted altogether?
At this juncture, I would almost say he may go undrafted. There was a situation where Landon Collins, the tackle out of LSU, this is different. Not even to compare those things, but I'm just saying would project to be first round. But there was some
He went in the second round, Landon Collins. The Giants moved up to take him. Yeah.
No. He went to Dallas. He went to Dallas undrafted, I think. No,
so Monkey.
Landon Collins. Wait, from Alabama?
No, from LSU. This was years ago.
Oh, okay, I got the players mixed up.
Yeah, no. He didn't get drafted at all. He went, but the problem was there was speculation of murder. So that's a whole different thing.
Oh well, no.
Let me grab some of these comments real quick, guys. People are trying to chime in. We got a lot. I'm not gonna be able to read them all, but let me get towards the ends of the ones. Thank you everybody for all these comments and engagement this morning, because that's such a hot topic. I knew everybody would talk about that. Monkey says some teams probably didn't even talk to Sanders, thinking he'd be already gone. He also said that some of the teams chose the quarterbacks they met with instead of unknown quarterback in Sanders. He don't blame him if that's the case. He said Baker Mayfield had great interviews. He said Ryan Leaf was taken out of desperation. And Brian says arrogance in college is one thing, arrogance towards the shield is another. And everybody's
Ryan Leaf was not taken out of desperation. The year Ryan Leaf was drafted, he was neck and neck with Peyton Manning, who should be taken number 1 overall. Right. It was neck, and eventually Indianapolis decided on Peyton Manning.
Okay? The 6th round is the final. Is the final round, right, or is it 7?
Okay, so this overall pick in the draft, Ryan Leaf. No one takes a guy 2nd overall in the draft because they're desperate.
Okay, so they're predicting SHADEUR is going to be picked in the 6th round, pick number 199, basically the end of the draft, supposedly. But I will say this. Because, like I said, and I still stand on that, the last couple days as the draft was happening, I was like, you know what? This is just a kid. He's just inheriting a lot of the hate that's come towards from his dad. JTRAIN, I tell you, I've been putting it in our chat. Like, okay, wait a minute. I actually love SHADEUR. This is, I'm sorry. I was wrong. But then you see all the stuff that has been compounded, and I feel like it just was a little too late to dial it back. If I'm Dion, and I'm out here saying, okay, if the right team doesn't take my son, I'm going to get involved. I think that's when everybody kind of stood up like, wait a minute, you're not Goodell. You're not the owners of any of these teams. You cannot say, I'm going to personally get involved. And then you come back 3 or 4 days later and you say, I guess they talked to the publicist or whatever. You know what? Never mind. We'll just be grateful for whatever team takes my son. It was like they tried to retract it. But like everybody knows, once you put it out there, it's out there. My biggest issue is this. When Pittsburgh did not draft him, okay, the Saints didn't. I kind of thought they would, but when the Saints didn't, when Pittsburgh didn't, and then Cleveland didn't even take him in the 2nd round, at the top of the 2nd round, knowing they need a quarterback, knowing Pittsburgh needs a quarterback, I was like, okay, don't give me that we can't handle the fame of Deion Sanders' son, because you could very well block the media out. We've seen Bill Belichick do it. You can't tell me Mike Tomlin wouldn't know how to protect his locker room if Deion Sanders' son was.
Wait. There are external reasons sometimes. Pittsburgh's still negotiating with Aaron Rodgers.
And that's garbage by itself.
That's kind of
a 5-month negotiation is ridiculous.
Okay, but that's on Pittsburgh. That's not on Rodgers. That's on the Steelers. If Rodgers wanted to be a Steeler bad enough, he would have worked it out.
Absolutely.
By now. We agree with that. But the point is, they want Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers. They're being as patient as could be. If they drafted SHADEUR Sanders, the odds are Rodgers isn't going to go to the Steelers. And they'd rather have Rodgers than SHADEUR. Okay, that's their judgment. And Rodgers gives them a better chance to win in the short term than SHADEUR.
And what you're saying right there, this is what tells me that teams are willing to put up with certain things.
Yep.
That's why it's bogus.
Now I agree with that.
They're doing. Yes, teams are willing to put up with certain things if you're talented. That's why I don't understand this.
But they don't look at SHADEUR Sanders as having an immediate impact.
Jack,
they don't look at it that way.
Something. The fact that they took Mike Green with an open SA charge. Mike Green has an open SA charge right now, and they took him. That was a gut punch, because you're willing to take somebody that's got a felony with a victim open rather than Shadeur Sanders is insane. And that to me was the hugest wake up call.
You know what team could take a Shadeur Sanders and feel comfortable taking him? A team like the Buffalo Bills, because there's going to be no pushback from the fan base to anyone, because there's not a chance of him competing with Josh Allen for the job. Josh Allen, it would be so solid in the job. Shadeur would slip completely under the radar. With a team like that, he could carry a clipboard. But with other teams, there's going to be a pushback. You know that the fans are going to be calling for Shadeur if there's any opportunity.
You want to put that back up?
Not that particular one. The one Monkey said about the interviews when he mentioned, like what Jack responded about Ryan Leaf being.
Yeah, he said teams take players out of desperation all the time, especially in the first round.
Yeah, Monkey's right on this. It's the NFL isn't like it used to be. They're not going to have
that one, but he also mentioned about Baker Mayfield.
It's more like a win. It's more like a win now league. Certain quarterbacks, need the 2-3 years to develop. But sometimes you give them like the 2-3 years and you see they're not really developing and you've wasted your time with them too.
My problem with that, what he's saying is, were you there? How do you know that, Monkey? How do you know that?
We don't know that. Yeah.
You have no idea.
That's what I said. I said none of us were there.
Wait. How are you assuming? Maybe Monkey was there in the interviews.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me, Monkey. My apologies. You may have been.
No, that was Brian. Brian said he was joking about where Shadeur would go. By the way, that pick belongs to the Chargers, number 199.
You know what? Wouldn't this be great if the last pick in the draft was Shadeur, Mr. Relevant? That would kind of be comical in a way,
People have mentioned
Brock Purdy was Mr. Relevant.
Was Brock Purdy the very last pick of the whole
draft?
Brock
Purdy.
Wow, that's why
relevant.
Okay. Wow, that's
crazy. But Brock Purdy, I mean, someone else.
Let me tell you, you want a wild prediction. I shouldn't call this a prediction because I don't feel it's going to happen, but it could happen. Let me put it this way. Shadeur goes undrafted. He goes to the USFL. He tears it up, but he'll be so big on TV ratings, the executives will love him playing in the USFL because the USFL games, people that don't watch are going to be tuning in to watch Shadeur play. So he's going to become a major star in the USFL, or he'll go to Canada and be a major star and eventually find his way to the NFL.
What's crazy is people don't realize that Shiloh's in the draft too. And the way it's been taught, they were like, Shiloh may get drafted before Shadeur, which is crazy. Monkey says
that's
Monkey.
Yeah, that happens. Listen, tell me this. What about Quinn Ewers? No one's talking about him.
No, Quinn Ewers is a talent.
Monkey said
Quinn Ewers is a talent.
Quinn Ewers.
Quinn Ewers is a starting NFL caliber quarterback. I'm saying that now. No one's even talking about him. I mean, he's going to go to someone. I mean, let the Jets pick him in the 5th round or whatever. And, I mean, he'd be a great fit wherever he goes.
And then also there's an equal. Also, there's an equal.
What are you talking about, Rick? What did I say that's off about the USFL?
Well, people have said that.
Are you kidding?
I think he's probably talking about Quinn Ewers, right? But what I would say is there's also a equal, if not maybe number 2 processor in Kyle McCord. Let's not forget him out of Syracuse. He's probably going to be taken in this round or the 5th.
Monkey said, I'm sorry, Jack. Monkey said he can only report just like we are what he's heard and what's been reported. He can only go off of that.
Well,
he also said that Baker never talked, garbage to other teams before he was drafted. Him or his dad didn't come out and say Baker wouldn't play for them. That's a true fact too.
Well, Eli Manning, Arch Manning said he wouldn't play for the Chargers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
He still went first round, Monkey. He still went first round.
Yeah,
John Elway's dad
went
play for the Colts. John Elway went to play baseball for the Yankees for summer to try to prove his point that he wasn't going to play in the NFL if the Colts drafted him. But in all honesty, those guys were considered greater talents, okay? Those were first overall draft picks. There's a difference involved. SHADEUR was considered, potentially, a low first round draft pick, but certainly by now we agree. I mean, it's insane that he hasn't been picked.
I just feel like this. This is my thing. I like we just said, I do not agree that this is the third day and this young man has not been drafted. You have
Let me
to
say,
at some point think
go ahead.
I'm gonna put it another way. Let me put it another way. Okay, and I'm gonna put it by both of you, especially you, SONJA, first. Bryce Young is on an upward tick. It looks like he's going to be the Panther quarterback of the future, but it's possible he'll regress. It's possible. I hope not.
Monkey, not Peyton Manning. Eli Manning.
If they drafted the Panthers, SHADEUR Sanders in, let's say, the 6th round, that would be good value. But as soon as Bryce starts struggling a little, if he does, the pressure is going to be on Bryce because SHADEUR's looking right over his shoulder. Coaching staffs don't want that. They don't want that distraction.
Yeah, I think different franchises could handle that whole Sanders situation differently. I really don't think the Panthers would be in a position to handle that because of, you got to look at the geographical area where the Panthers are seated. They're in Charlotte. They're in the South. They just do not, it's a metropolis, but they're not like Atlanta. They're getting there, but they're not like Atlanta in terms of management and things like that. Just look at the stadium. You can tell a lot about a team and a franchise based on what the stadium looks like. We never have had a new stadium since '95. That's crazy. Like that stadium.
And what do you think of JTRAIN?
So just imagine the fact that if you can't even cover your fans in inclement weather or give them the option for a stadium that has a retractable ceiling, how can you expect to cover a draft pick like SHADEUR Sanders and the stardom that he brings with the Sanders name? You would not be able to. They would welcome it. If anything, it would put them on the map. Of course, I thought about that. I was like, okay, the Panthers are number 8. What if we drafted SHADEUR? But that would just really throw a gut punch to Bryce. Like you said, he's just finally turning around. They're only a couple of draft class apart. You don't do that. You don't make those type of decisions.
Remember, guys, that movie Draft Day? Even though it's just a movie, and one of the players tweeted something, and the GM called him up before the draft, say, whatever you do, get off social media. We hate this junk as GMs. We hate it. And the GMs around the league probably hate the idea of Dion commenting they draft SHADEUR. Because the media will keep running to Dion. He'll make comments. They don't want to deal with this nonsense, with this baggage. Dion brings a lot of baggage. The big question is this, basically. Has Dion hurt SHADEUR in the draft? We're not talking about SHADEUR's ability. We're not talking about what SHADEUR's been saying. Has Dion actually hurt his son in the draft process?
Yeah, I
think,
bit. Yeah. He tried to boost him up and tried to just, welcome, and it just went overboard.
Well, Brent, what collusion case? You think the owners are calling one another up? Oh, don't draft SHADEUR. That's what collusion is. If they're getting together to not draft them, and the owners speaking with one another. That's not an understanding.
Well, Monkey said this is a different era. That Sanders has all the issues.
No, and that's generalizing there, Monkey. We can't say he has all the issues, man. How do you know that? Do you have evidence of that, Monkey? Wait. Out the side of your neck there, brother.
Guys, there's an X factor. There's a 1% chance of this happening.
This is a debate show. Good morning, everybody. It's probably the most spirited debate we ever had.
Donald Trump is unhappy about SHADEUR not getting drafted in the first round. He called the owners stupid for not drafting. Can you imagine? Trump probably knows one owner. Could you imagine he picks up the phone and says, draft him already? I'm tired of hearing about this. Can you imagine he calls him David Tepper, your Panther owner?
All these guys, all these owners are in NFL. They're in the NFL corporation. So this is a conglomerate. So they all get together. Even though they play against each other, some of these guys are friends. They're coworkers. They're a board. So yes, they all get together. So who's to say they don't have a vote on who they want as employees or not? So I'm not saying that this is that there's a conspiracy. Forget conspiracy. There's the fact that this is a business. First and foremost, let's put all that aside. They run it like a business because the evidence is all the money. They're the highest paid out of all sports. Out of all sports, the NFL takes everything. So you think they run that just off of individual franchises? Of course they get together.
No, but they're not speaking about Shadeur Sanders to one another. They're not talking about him at all. Not at all. I mean, the owners.
I mean, this is my thing. This is what I got. Yesterday, when the Raiders had back-to-back picks in the second round, everybody knows that Tom Brady has been like a mentor to Shadeur. He's been, involved in his college life. He basically gave him some good advice, told him, focus on the playbooks, not pushing your merch during halftime. Just all of that. He really has tried to tell him how to be better grounded. And everybody, you don't have to like Tom, but you got to respect him. He got it done, and he got it done as a last draft. So if anybody's going to mentor you, you would think it'd be Tom Brady. When the Raiders had back-to-back picks yesterday, y'all, I'm going to be honest with you. This was my moment to be like, okay, Tom, 2 back-to-back picks, 34 and 35 in the second round. You can use one of those to pick Shadeur. You're going to need another quarterback behind you.
Not the GM, Tom Brady. He's not making the decisions.
So he has no pull whatsoever.
He's respected. He's a minority owner, but he's not making the decisions on the Pete Carroll is. And Geno Smith is Pete Carroll's guy from Seattle to the Raiders.
Yeah.
And you can use that value pick at this point in the second round. So you're not going to want to draft a backup quarterback. What's that saying to Geno Smith? That's telling him he's not your guy.
Monkey, I guess
drafting Shadeur Sanders. Once you draft a quarterback in the first or second round, the starter is usually on the
Monkey's probably the same person that reads TMZ news and Inquirers, National Inquirers, and just believe in flying saucers and everything that comes around.
Monkey was on last night. Monkey's the one.
Yeah, I know. I know my man who he is. Yes, I'm just saying. My point is, you can't say that all issues are reported are just believable, man. That makes you gullible. You got to delve into everything and still have to take things with a grain of salt. You don't know if everything's just because things are reported. There's a lot of things that we call fake news that's reported. So you can't just go off of everything. You got to just have a third eye, man.
Yeah, Brian agrees with me. He says the comment I made about Tom Brady, TB12, having to tell him not to sell merch at halftime, they said that right there was the main comment that lets you know Shadeur was not really where he's supposed to be. But I think he tried to bounce back, guys, and I think it was just a little too late.
What's the idea? Why can't teams draft a second quarterback in the draft as well? Look at what the Washington Redskins at the time, their name, did. They drafted RG3, second overall pick in the draft. And then in the fourth round, they drafted Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Fourth round, same draft. If you have a value pick, you take it, especially late in the draft. I mean,
and some people have Kirk Cousins as his comp.
If Shadeur slips out of the draft completely, it's not based on ability. At this point, I can't believe it's based on ability. It's possible it is. It's possible they see something we don't see, but I can't imagine it at this point. He slipped so far down. But if he's not drafted altogether, it's personality or this or that.
It's already that. It's already
I believe it is already that. Yeah, but
and that's the problem I have with that personality thing, because there's been evidence. When B. Striller said it's different eras. No, it's not. Because again, I have evidence. I'm giving you facts. Baker Mayfield is a prime example. He went 1 overall. Not the strongest arm, great processor, bad attitude on the field. On the field showed it. And he still was taken number 1 overall because teams are willing to look over certain things. The fact that Shadeur Sanders, and then of course, he ended up getting traded and going somewhere else later on, maybe teams are shying away from that. Maybe they don't want to do a big.
I got a team that might take him. Okay, we could keep speculating. This is a real wild card because he's really smart. Howie Roseman and the Eagles. Maybe he's available in the 5th round and he sees the value's too great, to turn down. Now, you might say it's insulting to Jalen Hurts, but look, he drafted Jalen Hurts. They moved up when they had Carson Wentz, who looked like he was going to be the Eagle quarterback for years and years.
The only problem with that is that you don't want to shake up your locker quarterback room by bringing in a guy that has a high caliber.
Thank you. You proved my point with the baggage that SHADEUR brings, even if it's not by his own doing, okay? The point is it becomes too much of a sideshow for teams. They don't want that distraction.
Well, I wasn't talking about the baggage. I'm just talking about the caliber of talent. I think, why would you bring a talented player that should be that was picked to be number one, first round or second round, and give it to a quarter? I mean, make him second or challenge for the position with a Jalen Hurts that's being paid a lot of money. Why would you? That's kind of like.
Big Strilla said society is different than it was.
Sonja, if JTRAIN was in a department store and he passed by the clearance rack and there was $100 shirt sold for $7, JTRAIN wouldn't pick it up.
Oh, wow.
He would feel, there's something wrong here. If it's $100 shirt for $7, it's going to shrink as soon as I wash it.
Yeah, I'd grab it myself.
Yeah.
Most teams wouldn't. That's a waste of a pick. I mean, you could say, let's look at the history here. We talk about Steve Young and Joe Montana. Steve Young waited a long time to play. Most players wouldn't want to do that. Why would you want to go and sit under somebody that's going to try to hold you back? And kids don't do that in college now.
That's a high draft, but Steve Young was an elite quarterback. Once you get to the 5th or 6th round, what's SHADEUR going to complain about? Oh, I got to be playing. He's got no pull anymore. You're a late draft pick. You're sitting. You understand? Andy Reid's the quarterback guru. Let's say he drafted SHADEUR in the 6th or 7th round. SHADEUR knows there's no way he's beating out Patrick Mahomes. He understands his situation. Even Dion would be too embarrassed to say that SHADEUR should be playing there. I don't know. At this point, it's got to be humbling. Can you imagine, guys?
This stuff is crazy.
Listen, if you're SHADEUR, the way we were watching this draft, could you imagine what he was going through, the torture he was going through yesterday? First round was bad, but you get over it. You figure you're definitely going to be picked day 2.
It gets worse because,
man.
Like Brian said, you got the leader of a nation for all intents and purposes, whatever that means, because he ain't leading nothing in this nation. Weighing in, Trump, T-Rump. But this is the worst place of it all, guys. I don't know if y'all realize now this right here was evil, for real. Somebody prank called SHADEUR and told him he'd be drafted. Somebody called him. And
that is mean. Yes.
Like, you have to laugh to be like, instead of going off on somebody. Like, somebody had a nerve that had his number clearly, that called and he was filming it. Like, he was being drafted.
There is some good news if you're SHADEUR. Number one, you have a wealthy father. So you don't have to worry and he's close with his dad, by all accounts, very close. So he's always going to be financially secure. He's much better off than the average person.
Well, they said at first, Jack, he didn't even want to carry the Sanders names years ago. Did you know that? Did you guys know that?
Because of his family, his mom.
He was the one that didn't want to have anything to do with his dad, actually, I guess. Yeah.
Well, but he's played for all these years, and there has to be a closeness.
Yeah, they reconcile.
Son, maybe, but coach, player, whatever. And Dion, like I said, SHADEUR, imagine he doesn't get drafted and he does play for the USFL. Like I said, all that advertising to watch the game. I don't watch the USFL games. I catch a play here and there. If I'm turning the channel, I'll watch a couple of minutes. But I don't like the caliber play with the USFL. But if SHADEUR is playing in the USFL, I'm tuning into the game. I'm tuning in specifically to watch him. You know?
It sounds like Warren Moon all over again. It sounds like
USFL.
Warren Moon all over again. Virtually he's being told that we don't want you as quarterback.
Somebody said maybe Deion should take some of his money and offer to pay for the rookie contract so somebody will draft him. Monkey, that's crazy. Listen, let me tell you guys, as we have about 3 minutes to talk, and I mean 3 solid minutes, and then we got to wrap it up. What do you guys think going into today, what that's like? Because some analysts have said, maybe there needs to be a private conversation between SHADEUR, his dad, and a new team that he would like to be interested in. Nothing on social media, nothing for the media to get involved, period. Nobody else's opinion, just Deion, his son SHADEUR, and the team that they're interested in. Say, hey, we are interested. Let's have a private conversation. I mean, it has to be beyond humbling. It has to be depressing at this point to see the mockery at this point. This is a mockery. This is not just teaching him humbleness. This is literally this is beyond SHADEUR. This is like, we are going to put this mark against your name where nobody forgets what happened in this draft. Nobody's going to ever forget about this.
Now, very quickly, I know we're running out of time. Once he gets to the NFL, people are going to remember where he was drafted, but it becomes irrelevant at that point. People are going to move forward.
But if he's undrafted, they're never going to forget that.
No, never. That's true. But what I will agree with Jack is that if he is talented as he's shown, Cream rises to the top. He's still going to come up. He's still going to. I've seen undrafted players. I agree with you, Monkey, on that. This will be talked about for years.
Seems like it'd be a mercy pick at this point. It's literally like it is a mercy pick because you don't want him to go undrafted.
I don't think it's a mercy pick now. I think some teams do want him, but now because they're looking at the way things are going, they're figuring I can get all the players that I want to get now, and then get him later.
Because he'll still be there.
Yep, he'll still be there.
Wow, that's really sad, guys. Rick says Prime needs to stay out of this. No meetings. Okay, so no meetings. I don't know how to resolve it then, guys. I mean, I just know that things will just work out as they are. He said he trusts God, and so at the end, we could just only he knows what's going to end in the end, what's going to happen anyway. But this is definitely a debate of all time. Jack, we'll use all your debate questions for today that we had for next week. This was great, everybody. I appreciate the opinions of Jack, JTRAIN, of course, my brothers, my family here. This was great. I love it. This is probably one of my favorite shows that I've ever done. Everybody was respectful and animated at the same time, so I love it.
Just one last thing, the NFL and the ESPN, they're happy because this day there's not much interest in the draft. There's much rounds 4 to 7, but with SHADEUR still on the clock, people are going to be tuned in.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be tuned in. But he's definitely going to go cheaper. Thanks, guys. Everybody that came in, make sure you join us. We will see you in the morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here, the Sunday Morning Big Sports Show. I'm sure this will come up again. Maybe SHADEUR will be actually drafted tomorrow as we weigh in with everybody else. We bid you all a great day, and we will see you when we see you.
You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV.